Islam, you already know that it doesn't really go down like this. You know it must be something big when there's class. 2 days back to back, there's class. You know something big going on. You know something big going on. So we have to clear up some things immediately because when you know what, let me let the prophet tell you because I would Kavit Tor. Moors are men, upright, independent and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain or unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such a realm. They try and try, but their old plannings brings down wrath upon their heads, like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because, this is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. For all the people who say, you know, don't study occult and whatever, right? For all the Moors who push don't study astrology, leave astrology. Oh yeah, it's Taurus full moon tonight. Taurus full moon. It's funny today stuff is going down. And of course, you know what I mean? Canaanland Moors because clean house time. They try and try, but their own bad planning brings down the wrath on their head, like the sword old Damocles had. And everybody talking about Damocles is on some, he has the lightsaber. If just if you don't know, go check out Story of Damocles or whatever, and you find out why the wrath is relative to a sword and this man named Damocles. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. The ranks of the Moors. So there's ranks amongst the Moors. That sounds like nationhood. That doesn't sound like some organization throw on something to look good and be distinct from those other guys who threw on something else. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, well planned, whose latent powers are abundant. Abundant. Look that up so you know for sure what he means when he said abundant. Unknown. Look that up so you know for sure what he means when he says unknown. What is he talking about? He's talking about he has powers that are unknown. This Cherokee Indian, black Indian, born North Carolina, 1886, talking about his powers are abundant and unknown. and could be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. And people worrying about what, you know, Europeans gonna do, you know, like defense, defense, shield, block, whatever it is that, you could use the prophet as that. That's how high he was. And I saw flaw and master, arm, leg, arm, head. So don't expect to hear it from somebody else. Don't expect to hear it from somebody else. Who's going to quote this? Who's going to say an individual had this much power out of their mouth if they're not down with him? Prophet Noble Drew Ali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. So he knows already those who are interested. In what? In this Moorish movement that has been well planned by the Prophet. They are the vanguard. We're going to look that up. So you know what that is. So when he says vanguard, you're sure as to what Noble Drew Ali is talking about when he said that these people who are interested in the Moorish movement, they're the vanguard of this. They're not the poppy show of this. They're not to sit back and chill and wait to see what another Moor does until they do something type of Moors. These are Moors that's going to go get their own pole, stick it on the house, and put their flag up there. Whether they're paying mortgage, whatever, is irrelevant. Renting, doesn't care. So they're the vanguard of this. Reps this to the death just because you know what the Prophet brought. And some people know what the Prophet brought, and they want to pretend like, they got it all. And there's nothing that you can get with regard to the Prophet unless you go to them. When they're selling people out and they have fezzes on and they say that they're Moorish American and they hold up Quran and they have classes and they have a wall where where two flags are on the wall, just like how Noble Drew Ali used to do, but they're selling people out. Why? Because same thing like what we keep telling people, just like what BT said, these guys are stupid. We're not showing nothing conscious on BT. They're stupid. We're going to program those people. And those are all the people, the spineless, jellyfish that are up in all these groups or whatever. Hear Moors talk about nationality, but they don't want to get down with it because, it's not cool right now to be a Moor. It's cool to be a Kemetic guy. It's cool to do yoga and astrology. Oh, yeah, the moon. This is not about cool. This is about your birthright that people know about, and they're playing games with it with people. And they claim to be Moors who have an obligation to uplift fallen humanity. It doesn't matter what you belong to, club, whatever. If brothers in the grave, put your hand, pull them up. Simple. No, they don't want to do that. They want to do everything. Why? And then talk about, yeah, Prophet said imitate the Prophet, so, do what he did. No. Prophet said, know thyself. Get the hell out of here. About imitating. Oh yeah, make sure you go look up imitate. So you know exactly what he meant when he said imitate him. Just so you know, and you're not listening to people who have fezzes on, call themselves Moorish American, have flag and have buttons and all this type of stuff, have sashes and, you know, have big picture of the prophet at the podium, at the table with all the, and everybody has their turban with the jewel. They're selling people out. And then the spineless people that are down, that are under those fraudulent jurisdictions that send these people right back to Rome as Moors now. But don't forget, you're not getting sent back to Rome as, you know what I mean, Negro, black, colored. You're getting sent back to Rome as a Moor now. When they get you now they really got you. You better know what you're doing. Saying you're Moors, you better know what you're doing, and you better have some. You're gonna stand up for this, because as soon as you don't stand up for this, they're taking your head, arms, legs, all your organs, sell them to China, whoever else, dinner. For real. Because, and like you said, I know for a fact, right? I know for a fact, just because I talked to them more yesterday. We talked to them more 3 days ago, right? Just a more in Mississippi. A more. One more in some town in Mississippi. He's found about nationality and birthrights. How come? Well, he studied from this website called rvbaypublications.com, and wow, it just made sense to him because everything they're saying, I could go verify it. So, you know what I mean? I see that you're down with that, so I said, give you a call, talk or whatever. You know what I mean? Build it. Just a more. One more in a clan town in Mississippi. Literally a clan town, right? In this freaking place. In this town, whatever, right? Parish, whatever they want to call it, right? They have a court, right? With a judge and a prosecutor, right? And then this parish or whatever has a mayor, okay? The mayor and the judge and the prosecutor are Asiatics, right? In this clan town, but they're all the same guy. Now, look at these dynamics compared to your little frivolous situation. You know what I mean, that you're dealing with or whatever. You got your card taken or some crap or whatever. This is one more in a clan town with a couple other Asiatics, and that's it, right? And the Asiatics, they're not down with birthrights. They're down with Rome and enslaving people for their little benefit or whatever, Negro, black, colored, etc. Right? And this Moor didn't even have a situation. He went to the court for somebody else's situation as, support, counsel. They kidnapped him and let the person who had the stuff go back home. Right? Right? So now, this is one more, right? So they kidnap him or whatever, right? The wife calls, you just told me to call, so, you know what happened or whatever, right? Whole time I'm like, oh, frick, I caused this because, you know what I mean? I told them, don't play with those clansmen. If they say that you have something, you better make sure. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, I got it. I'm like, well, whatever. I built with him, so I know that it's not, a negative or, or he's in there, cussing Cujo, or if Cujo gave me this thing and he told me about whatever, now I'm locked in here. Or whatever. I knew it was nothing like that. You know what I mean? You knew what was up. Take your lumps. You know what I'm saying? You'll be home in a couple days or whatever, 2 days, 3 days, whatever. It's just a detain. They'll probably slap you with some stupid made up, statute of you violated some, you know, didn't give your name until you come back to court, which basically what happened, right? Saying all that to say that this is one more in Mississippi, Clantown. That he had so much faith in the prophet He had so much faith in his nationality and his birthrights that he's watching this right now. Now that's why I put this out there. Because I know he's watching this right now. So he knows that, Cujo knows what's up. And he knows what's up. And if he's in Mississippi and Cujo's in Canaanland, and that's, what I mean, it's so far away or whatever, but then we're able to communicate and, have a brotherly relationship, family relationship as Moors, then that means there's unity. So all these Moors talking about there's no unity, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But we have unity. Noble Drew Ali brought everything that it takes to save a nation and told Moors, take it and save yourself. Moors not taking it to save yourself. Moors looking at these guys over here making videos or oh, he said that. That's a very good point or whatever. I think I'll go with these guys because they sound like. You know what that means? That means that you just got brainwashed. Because Noble Drew Ali told you that only your brother is going to enslave you. And you're not even getting that. Told people your own is going to enslave you. Like he told Moors in 1913, your own is going to enslave you. Our problem is now we don't have enough money, and we don't have enough of that, and we don't have this, and we don't have that, and we need this for the whatever, because our problem is our own is selling us out. And we constantly go and follow our own that we know are selling us out. And even if we don't know, you're stupid if you don't recognize that this guy's selling you out. Stupid. They are the vanguard of the Moorish movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All of the Moors are active, not passive. So any Moor, this is Noble Drew Ali talking, right? This is in his stuff, right? Because it's funny. Even that's also an interesting point that certain Moors are going to say, oh yeah, Noble Drew Ali didn't, write Kavit Torah. Somebody else did. But they never read it though. They never put it on the record. How come they don't want to read this? How come they're always reading all this other stuff of Noble Drew Ali said, but they're not reading Kavit Torah? Because these were the times when Noble Drew Ali realized that it's the Arabs that's trying to kill him, not some Europeans. It's people who he taught himself come to his house, drink Moroccan tea, whatever like that, selling him out. People who were around him sold him out. People who he thought him and them were like this sold him out. Not a guy way over there. And then once the sellout happened, right? And people are gonna say, yeah, he left the body, and on a level, yeah, but they did something to the body. They went after the body, even if there's no spirit or in it. They went after the body like, yeah. They went after the body to get him out the way, so they could rob the treasury, millions of dollars or whatever that was in there. Because remember, the Garveyites and whatever, they were gonna connect. It's not no secret, right? Carlos Cooks. It's not a secret that they were going to unify the Moorish movement and the Garveyite movement were going to unify. And they stopped that. Oh, no, not some Europeans, your own. Just like there wasn't some Europeans that, made, the so-called Garveyites lose the Marcus Garvey Center in Toronto. It was Garveyites, people with red, black, and green jackets coming to events or whatever. Red, black, and green headband, Garvey button, and pins or whatever like that. Garvey boots, Garvey socks, Garvey shades. They got every single Marcus Garvey audio at their house. Every single book that has reference to Marcus Garvey, they got the big banner. They got the Marcus Garvey rug. And those guys sold out. So we're here right now, trying to convince people who supposed to have been more since 1929, 1930, now to be down with Moors after so much sellout went on. Just to get people to not recognize Noble Drew Ali and the fact that he came and told you about your birthrights and your nationality, and you're not Negro, Black, Colored, or Ethiopian, which includes all you guys who claim to be, whatever. And then the ones on the inside, because remember, this is an inside thing. We'll talk about some outside people, but what we're talking about is something on the side of the Moors. This has nothing to do with anybody else who wants to claim to be something, right? That's like somebody asked me today, what's the topic of class? You're not a Moor, to be honest with you. So even if I told you the topic, you're not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. And they realize, oh, okay, okay, because this is inside stuff that's becoming a nuisance. Because this is birthright. This is not some join some club or join some website. Don't get me wrong. There's some people, 200, you could join their stuff. 1,500, you could join their stuff. 2,500, 3,000, get some papers or whatever, you could join their stuff. But that's not nationhood. That's club stuff. That's organization, incorporated, whatever type stuff. That has nothing to do with Moorish nation and Moors who are, all Moors are active, not passive. Those are the passive Moors, right? We're not mad. I mean, you know what's up. We're gonna put it out there for people who don't know because they're watching everything. Think that everybody who has a fez on, listen to that guy because he has a fez on, so he must know it. These guys are playing people, and Noble Drew Ali called all these guys out, right? Called them all out, smelly culprits and all that. Insidious plans. So yeah, go look up Insidious too. So you know exactly what he's talking about. The type of plans that these people are implementing in order to get you to not recognize and have trust and faith in your prophet and your birthright as a Moorish American. Not as a Moor, not as a M-O-H-R, not as a, M-U-R, as a Moorish American. Because that's what Noble Drew Ali said the Moors are. That are descendants of Moroccans born in America. We're Moorish American. So if somebody's not saying they're Moorish American, they're whatever that is, as far as Moors, they could do that. I mean, it just has no connection to Noble Drew Ali, no connection to anything that Noble Drew Ali laid down for Moorish American. Right? All of the Moors are active, not passive. As members' interests can only be in one direction, that's why we tell people we're biased. We have a lane. And we have a lane. Right? All these other lanes that people are in that call themselves Moors and they wear fezzes and they say that they're Moor Science Temple and they whatever, you're going to realize that they're against this lane. They're against being in it, right? And they're against having other people be in it. Because they want to play the game that this is some club thing. That you got to come to these ones over here because these ones over here are the ones. And this is birthright. You think we're begging people to, watch Canaanland Moors? You think people, Mississippi and all these places are calling Canaanland Moors because of Canaanland Moors? Not because of Canaanland Moors, because of information. Not because of me or that individual or that individual. It's because the information is, you can't refute anything that we put out. Why? Because it's birthright. We know what we're talking about. I, self, law, and master, arm, leg, arm, head. That's just what it is. People get mad at Sabir. You know, Sabir is sport more because he's in California. He's about getting this money or whatever. More should be about, whatever. Ask how much Moors, the unity, how much Moors put some fiat so he could have a show. How much Moors? And then he quickly realized, hey, hold on a second. Moors don't support stuff. My own doesn't support stuff. He'll have people's book up there, yeah, get this book and whatever. Oh, yeah, this music is, wow, you know, and realize nobody's not supporting nothing. But then you realize that, Asiatics who are, supposedly part of the industry and, you know what I mean? They don't sell out and they don't know nothing about themselves. They know more than conscious people. They know more about Moors than Moors who say that they're Moors, trying to convince people to join their stuff. When a so-called entertainment guy is going to tell you something about Moors that these guys don't even know about. And they're going to say those guys sold out because they're part of the industry, entertainment, or whatever. Oh yeah, he's an agent because, when he has more knowledge himself than these idiots. Right? A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road years before, the prophet knows where every member is along the road. The prophet knows. Don't forget, he's not here anymore. The prophet knows. But he did say this is a divine and national movement. And if man is spirit, not the flesh, and divine is not, then stuff is going on still, even though we think it's not going on. He knows where you are. As far as where you say, I'm a Moor, all those tests that you get or whatever is Allah and the Prophet. And, it's up to you to pass them. But then, some tests are definitely Europeans who are using the birthright of the Moors in secret and trying to get the Moors to be Negro black colored people. Because they're the prosecutor and the judge and the mayor. And you can't say you're a Moor around here. This is Clan Town. You can't say you're a Moor around here. No. But they let them go though. And they set up a, court date for 3 months down the road. Why set up a court for 3 months down the road? If he did something so bad, why are you going to deal with him tomorrow? Why are you sending something 2015 is a court date for something happened today? You think they right? Fraud all around. Stay in the lane. Stop swerving. You're only going to damage yourself if you swerve it out of, you're going against the grain of the prophet. Let's go against the grain of the prophet because that guy said something. He said the prophet. So you're like, oh yeah, go over here. That's all he said. He didn't tell you nothing that you don't know already. He didn't school you. Drawley knows where everybody is. Drawley knows where everybody is. So don't think you can secretly do stuff and he doesn't know what you're doing. Because, what I mean? Like we say, well, boogeyman in the closet, realize there's no boogeyman, so, you're not scared of the closet no more. Well, the prophets are dead or whatever, Be scared of the prophet still, because he's right there, sitting right there. You know what I mean? You look, you see a 7 or something. Everywhere you look, you see 11. Everywhere you look, you see something with relatives to the Moors. You think that's just happening just because, you just happen to be watching TV and they just happen to just have a commercial with a fez in it. Just out the blue, just, you know what I mean? And you're the only person sitting there on the couch like, what the hell? How come nobody else is here right now? Everybody just went out the door or whatever. You're the only one. Why? Because Noble Drew Ali putting things from the ethers into the earth plane just so you can consider what you just heard the other day about Moors or whatever. They're like, man, whatever. And then Allah drops something on you and like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I need to check this thing out a little bit more. See what's really up about this judge and prosecutor and mayor being the same guy. But that have to make you go research checks out. Have to. You can't hear that and just, oh yeah, just go in there and pay whatever, because when all these guys are the same guy. And remember, we're just in Kavit tour only. We didn't get nowhere yet. We didn't get anywhere yet. A few feet below, right? So the Moors are on the road, lane, right? So the Moors are in a lane, okay? A few feet below is another road where schemers walk, where traders grin, and culprits bask in the sun. Now, this is Noble Drew Ali, right? They think, schemers or whatever, right? The guy's talking crap about Cujo. The guy's talking crap about Taj and talking crap about RV Bay Publications and talking crap about Nature L Bay and talking crap about Aline Bay and talking all this crap about Moors or whatever. They think they're on the same road with true Moors. But the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high catch scent, devour, and leave crying out, Kavit Tor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see these plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawks wait. By their own works. Because he told them to be read every meeting. They're not reading nothing. They're going to the Quran. They're reading divine constitution and bylaws. They're reading, Torah, whatever, Kabbalah, Kabbalion. They're reading everything. Oral statements, they're reading all this stuff. But the stuff that he said, read every meeting, they're not reading. Immediately you have to think that there's a problem. If I'm Moorish American. I find out, okay, I'm Moorish American, right? My nationality card, I belong to temple number 87. And in temple number 87, we have meetings, holy meetings, mufti meetings, Sunday school, civics class, whatever, baking, kitchen in the back, ranch outside, whatever. And these Moors over here are talking about there's a letter we proclaim every meeting. And you just go back to the temple, hear nothing about the letter we proclaimed every meeting, and just cool with it. You're just cool with it. That Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, who you guys singing hymns to, Noble Drew Ali, he said, there's something to be read every meeting. And these guys aren't reading it every meeting. And I could talk how I talk. You know why? Because I talked to Supreme Grand Sheikh David Bealey Ill today. So don't think that, Kudro's renegade more, not dealing with protocol as far as Noble Drew Ali more Science Temple, because, we have a charter and stuff like that. So, you know, all the people that is fake and this legit, go talk to the people who make the claim that they're the real successor of what Noble Drew Ali laid down. Go ask them who's legit and who's not. Their names out there. David Bailey Ill. But don't forget, he's been around since the 30s. So, you do the math. He's an elder now, so don't go bombarding him about, 500 million stuff, because, you know, that's what we get. 80, long years since he found out about the Moorish movement to now, he's been around. And you just heard his name just now for the first time. He's the head of all the stuff. Legitimately. Why? Because you go talk to him, he's going to tell you all the stuff that went down. Documented facts, because, this is a nation. This is a Moorish movement. This is not some kiddie play thing. So they have records of certain stuff. Who belonged to what, where, when, how long, or did they pay their dues? How much dues they owe if we add it up till now? But they're not going to go pay those back dues. You know what I mean? That, people who founded, remember what we talked about, it's the same thing with the Moorish movement, just like with the Negro black color organizations or whatever. Some Moors, right, talking about this side again, right? Moors who say they come from Moors, 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 who say they were the successor of the Prophet. Those Moors learn from the Prophet. And then they run this charade for 80 years, and everybody thinks that they got a building. It's the Prophet. They call themselves Moorish Science Temple, but they're not reading the stuff that's supposed to be read every meeting. For 80 years, they haven't read it. People all died or whatever, never knew about this stuff right here that was supposed to be read every meeting. They were um, um, like up to date dues paying members, and they never read the letter that Noble Drew Ali, who they loved with all their heart, said to be read every meeting. That's the dirty stuff in Kavit and Torah, the smelly culprits that Noble Drew Ali is making reference to, who have their minions that are around today that people are following, talking about they're down with the Prophet. And then when they get their ass whatever that they got for claiming that you're down with the Prophet, but then you're going to follow some dirty Moors, and you don't think nothing's not coming back for that? You don't think what goes around comes around and doesn't apply if you know that Noble Drew Ali said read this every meeting, and then you're siding with people who don't even talk about this thing that's supposed to be read every meeting, much less bring it up. You don't think nothing's coming back for that? You think you're just going to escape and not run into no roughs? Keep playing. To be read every meeting. I would understand, you know what I'm saying? So much information, it's so, the Moorish paradigm is so vast that, yeah, we could, sometimes you might miss reading a couple meetings or whatever, because, we got to get all this info to the people, Now, keep in mind, please, reviewing this, we are not some Noble Drew Ali worshippers. We are not some religious idiots, right? We are not some mundane-minded individuals that, are chasing this man down. because he said something that was interesting. So, hey, that's interesting. Let me go follow this guy. This is birthrights. Every single nation has a prophet that they hold dear to themselves, that they rep. Don't care what you got. They have their stuff. And they're not worshiping nobody and whatever. They're dealing with the principles that that individual came and laid down for them, that their so-called God sent for them. Because they were kind of falling away from, the course. They were getting out the lane a little bit. You're not swerving now. Now you're going into oncoming traffic now. You're not even swerving no more. To be read every meeting. And remember, any word that you hear that you think, oh yeah, that word means whatever, you're probably wrong. Go look it up. Especially if Noble Drew Ali said it. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. There's a hex on you. So if you want to play around. You get out of that one with some pentagram or whatever. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. If the prophet is not right, then the temple is not right. If the prophet is not right, then the temple is not right. Mastermind. Because all these things that's talking about, all true Moors must obey. Like, that's ritual. So if you say you're a Moor and you're a true Moor, and I'm standing up for Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet or whatever, right? And he has something to be read every meeting, and you're not reading it. Do you think you're true to the cause? And remember, we're dealing with, not only just this side, but this side and the higher up people. Because I'm a Grand Sheik. I'm not just one of these Moors out here that just came into birthrights and studying or whatever like that. I have a position in the Moorish movement, and I'm telling you, as an official, that there's fraud going on around here. I'm not talking as some guy just coming into information and I know Taj and I know Alim and I know Asir or whatever like that. Like, I'm the Grand Governor of Canaanland. I'm the Moor who Moors, when they come to Canaanland, they come check me. They're not gonna go check Nuwapian Moors and whoever else Moors. They're coming to Moor Science Temple, first ever Moor Science Temple in where we're at. So it's on that level that I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not saying this as, disgruntled Moor out there just mad that, there's no unity amongst the Moors. I'm telling you that the officials sold out this stuff. The head people who were down with Noble Drew Ali sold this out. Ran off and did all this madness. Have people now confused, don't know what to do when they say that they're Moors. They don't know what the hell to do when they say that they're Moors. They know that they're Moors, but as far as, being a Moor, that's like putting a pair of pants on a horse. Hey, it's odd right now, okay? All true Moors must obey. All true Moors must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. And if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. But they're not going to do that. They're going to parade around with fezzes still, like, yeah, we're done with the prophet or whatever, when they already cast themselves out, Kavit and Tor. And we're just watching them as the destructionists fall. True Moors are watching them and trying to tell Moors, why you wish you got a moon there, right? That could give you energy, and you're wishing on a shooting star. A shooting star is a Death Star. That a shooting star is a star that's gonna eventually go out. Why are you wishing on that when that's coming to an end? Why are you following these Moors who are falling? We're telling you that these Moors are falling, and nobody wants to realize that all these dirty Moors that they've been following for the past how much years, they're up in the FBI papers as the sellouts. Copyright handshake, copyright Circle 7, copyright Holy Quran, copyright whatever, trademark Moorish Science Temple of America, sue another Moor in a European court because he said he's Moorish Science Temple. And these guys were the sellouts of the Prophet, and they're suing a Moor because he said Moorish Science Temple. And the information's out there. And those people are around right now, putting videos on YouTube with Moorish Science Temple in the video. And people are viewing these individuals because they don't study. So because they're not, if you're not studying, then you're watching somebody's crap. If you're not studying, you're watching somebody's crap. We deal with facts. So watching this is studying. Watching Taj is studying. Watching Rasmarai V. is studying. Watching Fonteus beat up on some, mercenaries with law, get them to take him out the car and all that type of stuff like that is studying. Because you're learning something from that. It's not just, feel good. You're actually going to see that and, whoa, hey, you know what I mean? And then you're going to go check it out and find more stuff that you didn't even know that you're going to find just by checking out this little thing that this Moor said over here. It's real. The Prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet. Why is he telling you do your part to protect him when he's the prophet and his powers are abundant and unknown and can be called upon his defense any moment or whatever? He got all that and he's still, how dirty this place must have been? That he has all that. And he's still telling you, you guys could try to help me over here, you know what I mean? Moore's chasing me around the temple with a knife or whatever like that. Moore's putting poison in my food. Moore's giving me stuff to drink. I don't know what the hell this is. Moore's, stab another Moor, try to put it on me. You know what I mean? Get me kidnapped. You know, they have me in a cell, you know, minus 50 or whatever in the summertime, and people following them, listening to what they say, instead of protecting their prophet. Oh, and the temple. So not just protecting the prophet, but protecting the temple too. Not just protecting the prophet only, but also protecting the temple. Also, the prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans. So we'll put the question up. Are you a true Moorish American? Like, like say it. Are you a true Moorish American? All right. If you're a true Moorish American, the prophet is sending out a divine plea to you that you do your part in protecting him and protecting the temple. And if you're not going to, put down the turban and fez, give back the card, go back to the state where the prophet found you, because, you know, because that's what you're doing if you have this and you just have it. And you're not, because this is yours. This is not the officials. This is not the Grand Sheiks and the Grand Governors movement. This is the Moorish Americans movement that they haven't been protecting because they think this is about join. But he said protect the temple. Oh yeah, and then, you know, like we said, look that up. So you know exactly what he's talking about when he says temple. So you're sure. This is an everlasting movement. All these dirty Moors know that this can't stop. Just like all the pale Europeans know that there's not a Moorish jurisdiction for them to eschew. There's always gonna be a Moorish jurisdiction for them to eschew. Why? Because there's always gonna be dirty Moors. Why? Because true Moors don't protect their prophet and don't protect the temple. And and then here it is. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. And then there's another letter that he said to be read every meeting that they don't read. Not just one, two letters not to be read every meeting. Nobody, these guys don't even put it on the record. And I quote some lines out of it. I can't tell you where them lines coming from. That's how you know these shysters too. Because the shysters, for people who don't know the inner workings of the Moorish movement, you'll hear them talk and think that that's them. When they're quoting the Prophet when they're talking to you. And they're saying things that the Prophet said that you don't know. But then they're telling you, you know, naturalize. And then telling you, you know, join this, you know, because you have to get free and we're the ones that have the stuff for your freedom. And this is nationhood. Which leads to the title of today. Moors dissing rvbaypublications.com. Now, like we said, we're biased. So this isn't somebody, you know, from them said, you know, oh, something about. They don't care what people say about whatever they're doing because they're active and, you know, whoever's saying something just has time to say something against that, right? So I'm not, you know, from I belong to perspective. Information on that website helped me save people's lives. Information on that website helped me let a mother realize that she's killing her child, giving him Ritalin. Right? So it's real what that website has done. I've seen and heard experiences that people have had from information that they got off that website, right? That changed their life, for the positive, not for the negative. That they had to call and say, yo, thank you for putting me onto that site. That site made me realize that, you know, my father is not dead. He's actually still alive in the spiritual world, and I can contact him anytime, whatever. Thank you. That site, right? And that's just me. There's ample amounts of people who's gonna have stories upon stories upon stories upon stories about people who they sent to that website, that they came back and told them something about that website that changed their life, right? Now, one of these issues, right, is this card that they have on their site, right? The card on the site is a nationality card. It is not a card for the Moorish Science Temple or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science or the Moorish whatever organization you might hear use the term Moorish. It's a nationality card. This nationality and identification card bears the Great Seal of the Moroccan Empire, not the Great Seal of R.V. Bay Publications, not the, this nationality and identification card of R.V. Bay Publications bears the Great Seal of the Moroccan Empire. But make sure you go back and check everybody else's nationality card now and see what theirs says at the back of it. And I bet you it's going to say card of the whatever they are saying is their quote-unquote nation or organization or name that they just made up out of nowhere. And it's going to have no tie to the only Moroccan Empire. So this is not some organization, RV Bay Publication card. This is a card for the nationality of Moroccans who are born in America that call themselves Moors, Moorish American, Aboriginal Indigenous, whatever that qualifies or makes the point of our status in this jurisdiction of North America to everybody in the world who's very familiar with the quote-unquote Moroccan Empire. Even if you're going to go and Google Moroccan Empire and only one reference come up or two references, know that that's probably the only two books, whatever, that are left on it in the world. Because everybody's job was to get hold of the Moroccan Empire. in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through trying to steal the spice trade, the tea trade, the, you know, metaphysical trade, the religious trade, the alchemist trade, the whatever you want to call it. The Moors were the ones with it. And some people said, yo, you know what I mean? Just teach me everything that you know and whatever, and they were taught. And some people were like, if you come around here with that Moorish stuff or whatever, we're taking your head. And we're taking all your property. Right? So everybody knows what's up as far as the Moroccan Moorish Empire. If they say British Empire, they mean Moorish Empire. If they say Turkish Empire, they mean Moorish Empire. If they say Ottoman Empire, they mean Moorish Empire. That's pretty much, you know, the world. Because when you look at the Ottomans and the Turks and how these pale people ended up with names like Bey and Al, they have to have a prehistory. They have to have a prehistory. Who's their prehistory? You can say it to yourself. It's okay. When you go up into, you know, British and all them, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles, and oh my gosh, is she gonna have the baby and all this stuff? They're not. They're not the ones. Trace them back. See what they come out of. And realize they come out of the Moroccan Empire. And they're fronting. Because they passed edicts saying, you know, we're not going to call these people blackamoors, call them whatever else but that. So we can take this birthright and quote unquote have a home because, you know, it's caveman. And they don't even live in the Caucasus Mountains. That's not even their home. They were put there. The bearer of this card is a Moorish American national. The bearer of this card, the bearer of this card, is a Moorish American national. Not a M-U-U-R or a M-O-H-R or M-A-U-R or whatever. A Moorish American. Why? Because that's what Noble Drew Ali said. Like, why are you going to go against what the Prophet said? Right? In propria persona, aboriginal and indigenous to Northwest Amexem, Southwest Amexem, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate, including Central America, South America, and the adjoining islands Americana. The bearer of this card is a Muslim under the divine principles love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The bearer of this card is a Muslim under the divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Not the divine principles of Islam. The divine principles that were laid down by the Prophet. The divine principles that were laid down by the Prophet, not the divine principles of R.V. Bay publications. That's some active Moors. It's not, that's some active Moors. They're not putting out no cards. Who said they put out cards? more, you should have Moorish American nationality card, but you know, you don't have to hate because some Moors, active Moors, realize, hey, these people are stealing people's birthright. Some people 1,500 for their birthright, 3,000 for their birthright, 1,800 for their birthright. You can't be a Moor unless you join whatever. How about we just put out what Noble Drawley said the people are supposed to have for free? You know, I mean, it costs to make stuff, so servant is worthy of his hire. But not no 1,500 for no birthright. It's not no, pay a 125 to get some papers, and now you're a Moor. Now you're a Moor because you can, you just bought your nationality. Like, $50 pays for this. And you see all the, you know what I mean? See all the sparklies and stuff like that? That's what the 50 notes pays for. That's all. I see nobody with Benzes around here driving up and down the place. New camera every week, you know what I mean? They could walk down the street now because they got a camera now. They could film people, ask them what their nationality is on the spot, you know. Not doing all that. They're teaching people about their nationality and birthrights. And just happen to be, the only people who said, here's the stuff. It's just going to cost something to get this, because this is not paper. That's 1,500. It's actually, hard card, a hard card. Legitimate, Aboriginal and Indigenous on there. So that means that, we have a right to identify ourselves. Right? Identify ourselves as Moorish Americans. So we got Prophet who said that that's what we are. He laid it down. You can go online and see the card, what it looks like. Just to see that, okay, well, it says the same things on this. This says the same thing. So, why are people mad at this? Why are people going to diss this? When this is birthright. This is not RV Bay Publications. They're not. Why are they talking about this, which is birthright? But this is not RV Bay Publications. Think about this. Why are they dissing? Well, if you get a card from that site, right, you're going to get caught up in something, whatever, because, other people who use that card from that site, they got caught up in something, and I know them. Okay. Valid point. But this comes from the Moroccan Empire. The Moroccan Empire is not RV Bay Publications. So how come you guys aren't dissing the Moroccan Empire for giving this out for free? Why are you guys dissing some organization? Some Moors who decided to be active? Doesn't that sound a lot like this stuff that, this mastermind by the name of Noble Drawley, right? He came and told people about insidious plans to invade the realm that's built on the impregnable doctrine of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's on the back of this card. As the principles, you know what I mean, that we're Muslims under. Honors the divine laws of the great Quran of Muhammad. Oh, great Quran of Muhammad. How come all these Moors are talking about Quran of Mecca and all this type of stuff? Where they get this idea of Quran of Mecca is for Moors? When it clearly says Quran of Muhammad. And then, just so you're not fronting, go to the back of the 101 questionnaire, right? Just so they can't lie, right? Just so they can't lie, okay? The Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad. Oh, so it says Muhammad in our authority on the back of the 101, but Moors are talking about Qurans of Mecca. They have fezzes on. Nobody really said Quran of Muhammad, though. You didn't pick that up. That's somebody selling out your birthright. And then they're trying to convince you that Moors mean, some pale Arabs that call themselves Moroccans and have a kingdom and some treaty that binds us to some slavery arrangement between Europeans and those Moroccans when we've been here before all that stuff. Will you follow these stupid people trying to steal your birthright? So the bearer of this card is a Muslim under the divine principles love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, honors the divine laws of the great Quran of Muhammad and all divine prophets, Ali, Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, and Confucius. Moorish American Republic Constitution for the United States of America and, Mr. Lang, Moorish nationals uphold and enforce the supreme law, the divine principles imbued within the North American Republic Constitution for the United States of America and is a citizen of the Moorish nation, Northwest Africa, North America. All officers, departments, agents, employees, personnel and assigns, etc., are bound by oath to uphold and support the Constitution for the United States Republic, North America. All statutes, codes, rules, contracts, et al. Repugnant to the Constitution are void ab initio, pursuant to nature's law, divine law, and affirmed by Article 6 of the Constitution. This is a card for nationality and identification and bears the great seal of the Moroccan Empire. So as soon as you hear these people start dissing organizations that are presenting to you the concept of you're a Moor and this is your birthright. It's not something that we're trying to put you on. This is yours for you to take and do with it what you will, because arm, leg, arm, head, I, self, law, am master. Don't do craziness because it'll come back to get you, because nobody really knows where everybody is on the road. And if you don't look up there on the road and you see pitfall and you want to keep, going because, you think that you got this, and you see the pitfall and you don't realize how the pitfall get there for you to have to fall in that. All tests. Another point that I wanted to bring up is that one of these jokers, right? One of these jokers that's doing majority of the dissing, we just want to put something on the record for everybody who is competent. What I'm about to read is not what I say. What I'm about to read, this is what's already out there. It's not something that I'm making up or whatever. Okay? Keep in mind, people that are calling themselves Moors, they got fezzes on, turbans, say that they are Morris Science Temple of America, say that they honor the prophet, say that, people who are giving people their birthright for free are the dirty Moors and the anti-government Moors and the Moors that are against everything that's constitutional and whatever like that. Just remember, those people, right, are the insiders that don't want you to have your birthright unless you join their club. And their club helped kill the prophet, helped, assisted in, took part in making sure that 50 years gone and 50 years longer, and you wouldn't have known who Noble Drew Ali was, which is where we were right now. And for some strange reason, people start waking up to nationality and birthright. All of a sudden, people start waking up to nationality and birthright. Wow, nationality and birthright. This is interesting. Oh, I'm studying this, I'm studying that, I'm finding all this stuff. Wait, they never found none of that from temple members. They never found that out from temple officials who said that they were for the Moorish Science Temple of America. They got that from Moors who those temple officials said were renegades 20, 30 years ago. And they're against everything that Noble Drew Ali came and brought, and people believe those sellouts who are in the FBI papers and dissed, just like today, just like they're still doing. Because remember, the ones today are the minions of the older ones, the older sellouts that were supposed to be in the back of the car. Not backseat driver. Back of the car, shut the hell up. It's time for new Moors to take this out. Eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. Right? But this one particular individual, something was dirty about him. And the first time, smelly culprits start coming around, you get the little whiff, but you don't really know if it is, but you just get the whiff and you just got the whiff of the smelly culprit. Nah, he's got the sign, he's got the badge, he's got the button, he's got the fez. He has all the time. He's walking around with the book, Holy Quran, whatever, showing people, putting cameras and whatever like that, teaching people about birthrights. Oh, they must be doing something legit. But something was smelly. Didn't know what it was until, got the revelation. This is what really got me hyped to put all this stuff on the record that we're putting on the record, because one thing came to my mind, and as soon as it came to my mind, I'm like, oh, these guys are done. And then I went and read Kavit and Tor, and then Noble Drew Ali said that their own bad planning, right? Their own bad planning. Yeah, should have got a V8, but they didn't want the V8, right? Their own bad planning brought the sword on their head. Peep game, Mars. Peep game. This is how Allah works in mysterious ways. Noble Drew Ali's powers are unknown or whatever. This is how you blast frauds, by their own bad planning. And we're going to see what happens after this. We're going to see what happens. Just keep the pattern, but make sure if you're in the social media world that you question this, what I'm about to put on the record right now, to these so-called individuals that are dissing Moroccan Empire under the guise of dissing RV Bay, dissing your birthright, under the guise of saying, oh yeah, this organization that put this card out, that nationality card sucks and it's a fraud because it doesn't follow the prophets or whatever. This is from the Moroccan Empire, not from RV Bay Publications. So all those guys that talk like that, but specifically one, because birds of a feather flock together, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You know, crabs in a bucket, right? So certain things just line up because, you know what I mean? Praise Allah. Noun, murk. There's a word in the dictionary called murk. Murk, darkness, gloom, dark, with little light, murky, also murk, M-I-R-K, from M-Y-R-K-R, dark, darkness, Old English, Mars, M-Y-R-C-E, dark. And out here, and you could go online, right? Go online and look up in the Urban Dictionary what murk means, right? So, you know, Cujo Ottawa L, because I was born on a Monday, Cujo is Monday born, Ado is Monday born, L, my Moorish title of nobility. That's how I got Cujo. You know, I'm not a fan of the show with the dog named Cujo. That's why I named myself Cujo. Right? But somebody's going to name themselves Merc. Merc L. And then you look up Merc, and Merc is darkness. But Moors are supposed to be the ones with the light. Why are you going to call yourself darkness? Why are you going to call yourself darkness when Moors are the ones with the light? And you got Fez on. You talk about Noble Drew Ali or whatever, but your name is darkness? I have more honors for a Moor that calls himself Lucifer before a Moor that calls himself Mer. Because Lucifer is at least a light carrier, you know, so you need a science. But then these people are going to tell people, you know, don't embrace your Satan. When Noble Drew Ali told you, know your higher self and your lower self. Okay, know your higher self and your lower self. Not don't know your lower self, just know your higher self. Right? Know both. So you have to embrace the dark side to know that self. These guys aren't occultists or metaphysicians or whatever. They just want to go pray. They just want to pretend like they're Moors. Right? When we already put it on the record, and again, telling you again that I'm coming from an official's perspective. I'm coming from a Moor who has been ordained with the capacity of a grand governor for the jurisdiction misnomered Canada, because there was no one here repping Noble Drew Ali. And when we went to see certain Moors, they put us on to certain Moors and certain information, and they said, you know, forget Queen, you Moors are now it. Right? And that's the position that we've been had. Right? That's why people could call Canaanland when they got issues. But everybody else try to call some Moors, and then, you know, they don't get answers, and they emails not returned, and you know, people getting mad. People getting mad that they gave fiat to somebody, and they're not even returning the calls. And then they see my video about don't give fiat to people and that, and then they call. Yo, I just saw this stuff just now. I just gave this guy 1,200. Just saw the video. Well, be careful, watch out for dirty Moors. And I just gave the guy 1,200. I just come out of jail because some Moors sold me some paperwork. Right? That's why, and then that's why, when you get in your whatever crap, and then you call RV Bay Publications, they ain't answering, because they didn't give you no nationality card. This comes from the Moorish nation, and you're it. So you better know thyself. You better know thyself. Because they ain't answering. They return emails when you get yourself in madness. Because RV Bay Publications is nowhere on this. So they didn't issue it. So they can't help you. So stop calling them. Go study and know what your nationality and your birthrights is. And stop studying from these clowns. Go study from RV Bay Publications because, everything they got up there is credible and can be verified. No questions asked. And if you have questions, just go study some more. But we like questions though, so, Canaanland guide@gmail.com. You know what I mean? You can send questions if you have them or whatever. We don't dodge them. We're just saying that, this is your birthright. This is your birthright. Not RV Bay Publications' birthright they're putting you on. It's your birthright. And they're giving it back to you. They're giving it back to you. Right? Free of any encumbrance. Absolutely free. Like you find me a website that you get all that stuff on it. Actually, Alim's website. You go to Alim, dralimBay.com too. His website, extensive too. And then Moore's going to be mad at him because he's dropping that, Ahmadiyya movement and all these, so-called, Indian, Eastern, whatever movements, Noble Drew Ali was part of. He was getting information from them too. And people get mad. No, you can't say that because Noble Drew Ali, he only went to these guys and got the information. When where do you think all these unknown powers and stuff and him activating all this stuff come from? I think he's pushing stuff about, holy breath and all that. Just because that's not real. There's on to all the breather Moors out there that do their breathing and stuff because, what I mean? Spirit means breath. So it's real. Not no fake thing. It's real. It's on to all the smoothie Moors. So these guys said that they have some kind of authority in the Moorish movement, right? After Noble Drew Ali died. These Moors took posts and said, yeah, we're the guys. You want a man in Mecca that's going to change the prophet stuff? I'm your guy. You want a Moor that's going to just, play the cut, not really do anything, but have a big sign, have a, building, carpet, pews, and wow, how you guys do all that? Yeah, Noble Drew Ali blessed us, prophets and all that stuff when they get fiat from Rome to be a church called Moorish Science Temple. All these crazy people, new Moors coming and following. And then Moors who've been in this 30, 40 years, putting, $50 in the plate, $20 in the plate, whatever, you know what I mean? And up to now, they don't have that school yet that they've been supposed to build since, whoever had children, just because Moors said they're going to build a school. And those children, adults, done been to all these other different universities, can't have school yet. And they're still sitting in there talking about, yeah, Noble Drew Ali. And these guys rape stuff, jack people's pension, all this type of stuff. If you follow them, still, 2014. And then these people, call themselves murk, darkness, and they put out stuff and people are commenting on things or whatever, but then when you go to YouTube, nothing's there. How come nothing's on YouTube? How come they're only putting stuff on one media, whatever, when you could upload to any of them? How come it's only, you know, how come, 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 you You know, is the propaganda? Is it real? Is it an illusion? You know, because being a Moor on a level is a popularity contest for some Moors. Being a Moor is who can be the who can be the most dapper Moor. You know what I mean? I got my suit, you know what I mean? For this debate, you know what I mean? I had to go break the bank for this suit right here for me to look like a Moor and try to convince you that I'm got some authority or whatever. Clowns. All we say is go study. Don't worry about watching nobody if you say that you're Moors. Go to RV Bay Publications, get your study on. Don't worry about who's the authority of whatever and all that stuff. We already told you. David Bailey Ill. Go check him. That's the guy. If you want to have a charter or if you want to do Morris Science Temple anything, that's the lane. For Morris Science Temple, I want to be Morris Science Temple. Anything else that's saying Morris Science Temple, right? It's probably not the stuff. And then, you know, don't forget that this nationality and identification card bears the great seal of the Moroccan Empire. So there's a great seal of the Moroccan Empire. Okay. So Moorish Science Temple of Americas that say their great seal, they're also down with, you know, the Moroccan Empire. So don't think that, you know, we're casting all the temples into the river because they say they're Moorish Science Temple and they're fraud. No. There's ones that, you know, like we say, it's dealing with love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, constitutional, whatever, civic minded, all that, then that's temple to go to. You hear people talking about naturalization and, you know, oath of amnesty because, you know, you were a slave and all this type of stuff, and, you know, Morris Science Temple of America incorporated everything. We incorporated the Quran, so you know we gotta, you know, we can't just give these to you. We gotta give these to you, you know, when you pay your dues up to date or whatever. Yeah, my dues up to date. Oh well, you know, the tax of the whatever is supposed to be paid because, you know, and then when you pay that and you get to 100, then you're gonna get the Quran with the, and then they bring out the Quran and somebody use Quran or whatever like that you've been waiting 5 years to get, and you backing these people. We even get to the documentation yet. Documented facts as far as the Moorish movement is concerned to prove who the sellouts are. Just like Noble Drew Ali put out Kavit M. Torah, just like Noble Drew Ali put out to be read every meeting, and they're not reading. There's all this documentation in the Moorish Science Temple of America that people don't know. That these people who call themselves Grand Sheikh, Grand Governor, whatever, are supposed to be telling people. Instead of them telling them about Holy Quran and 101 questionnaire only. Like that's the only stuff that Noble Drew Ali brought. This is May 12th, 1936. Emily Ill, Supreme Grand Chief. Moorish Science Temple of America, number 1, Grand Body. Brother J. Davis Bay, in answer to your letter of March 24th in regard to Brother Givens L., now he is just like a lot of the others that didn't want to do what the Prophet told them to do, left the Grand Body, of which he was a member, went off and got himself up a temple, which some of the weak members, just as C. Kirkman Bey and others have did, went up against the Prophet's law. If you will recall, there are the Prophet's general laws, where he says the evil spirits are moving, and they are trying the weak minds to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe, But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice your utmost to protect your prophet and your movement. You see that they have transgressed this law. There is nothing to Givens L, Kirkman Bay, and none of the rest that went up against the Prophet's law. Kirkman Bay is not even a sheep. And I know what I'm talking about because I was a member of the temple, number one, when Kirkman Bay joined, and he was never made a sheep by the Prophet or Brother Mili'il, because there was no one else that Prophet authorized to make sheiks. So all that you have to do is what the Prophet told you to do. And I know he didn't tell you to follow Givens or Kirkman. That's one of the successors of the line of the Prophet that, took the position that, Prophet was the one that told me or whatever, so I'm going to tell y'all what's up. And that's one of the letters that the Supreme Grand Sheikh, Emily Ill, wrote, right, after the Prophet, right, after the Prophet, okay, because, like it says in there, interestingly, right, now, this is supposed to be the individual who's the successor of the Prophet, right, so he's the one, okay, now, him being the one, he came out and said to the Moors that these guys are violating stuff, right? Not following the laws, whatever like that. You know what I mean? And he told the Moors that if you will recall the Prophet's general laws, where he says, the evil spirits are moving and they are trying the weak minds to overthrow. Make sure you look up overthrow so you know what Emil was talking about and what it was in relation to. Right? They're trying the weak minds. They are trying the weak minds. They don't have them. They're just, come on, break. As soon as you break, hey, yeah, this card doesn't work because I went to whatever and then I showed it to them and then they didn't accept it. They said this is not real identification. Yeah, this card doesn't work. Gotcha. And then you put this aside because you think RV Bay Publications give you that, so you throw that away or whatever. And now you're going to these guys. And now you're really going to be enslaved now. Why? Because they're from the guys, Kirkman Bay or Givens L branch, after the Prophet died, that the Supreme Grand Sheikh said that they don't have no authority to be doing nothing. There's nothing to Givens L and Kirkman Bay. There's nothing to them. There's nothing to them. But they're still around today. They got people with temples or whatever like that. Trying to tell you naturalize. Trying to tell you, oh yeah, RV Bay Publication sucks because their nationality card, it's not the real card that the Prophet brought. These are clowns people follow, parading around with, watching their stuff, liking their stuff. When man brought the stuff, told them, right? Told them. And they're not even pretending like they're a fraud. They're not even pretending like they're a fraud. If you know Moorish movement, Moorish Science Temple of America, you know that Noble Ali died, and then there was Emily Ill, Kirkman Bey, and Gibbons L. Gibbons L is the Moor who said he's a reincarnated guy, right? And he has a mausoleum and all that. Noble Ali has a little thing like this. You have to freaking hunt for to find when you go visit the prophet in the cemetery. And when you go to the cemetery where the reincarnated prophet is, there's a big mausoleum where Moors go to that and give honors to that, and then want to go after and give honors to the prophet or before, doesn't matter. The fact that you're down with the guys that killed the prophet, you can't uphold the prophet after you get down with the guys that try to oust him, and then talk about you're more, and I'm supposed to respect you, brother, and not call you nigger and all that stuff. You're not no brothers. You're violators. Violators. No authority. There's nothing to Gibbons L and Kirkman Bay. Anybody repping those factions of Moors are dirty FBI Moors, infiltrators. Anybody repping those. Anybody. You mention Kirkman Bay or Gibbons L, you're a sellout, dirty Moor. Because you know Kirkman Bay and Gibbons L doesn't have any authority to start nothing and claim anything around here as far as Moorish anything. None of them. Emily Ill only. And anybody in that line is what's legit as far as Moorish Science Temple of America is concerned. Anything else is a fraud. Especially if they try to do whatever to the prophet and then pretend like, oh, they got nothing to do with that. You know? And we're not talking about Moors who realized that there's a sellout and said, forget all these guys. I'm just going to go study contract law. I'm going to go study, civics. I'm going to go study, writs and, whatever else. And I'm going to start my own stuff because forget all these guys. Because even people who had this for 80 years that are legitimate, they even dropped the ball because they let these sellouts parade around here like they were legitimate. And only 3 letters from Mealy Ill, and that's it with regard to the sellouts. Until, Bailey will come back on the scene, and then, he's 80. And he's dropping unity with the young Moors and the older Moors. And actually going in the vault and bringing out information that, Moors not privy to. Why? Because, when you start getting up there, you realize, you can't play around and stuff anymore. Because you're getting closer to going through them gates and meet the prophet. And you better have your dues paid up, and you better have been doing something with regard to this Moorish movement and protecting the prophet and the movement and the temple. Because you're going to go through the gates eventually. Oh yeah, religious, whatever, blah. Yeah, don't worry. You're going to bump into whoever is the guardian. And the guardian's going to, give you a test and see if you get to the next stop. Or if you come back here as, roach or something. Because that was one letter. There's another letter now. Come back again, stuff that you're not hearing about. How come you're not hearing these Moors talking about? There's letters from Ilibila Ill saying that there's nothing to Gibbons L and Kirkman Bay. Go tell them that Emily Ill said that and see what they thought. Oh, yeah, a fake letter. There's no verification of that letter because, the letter was written and the date is the whatever. Just go, Bailey Ill, Supreme Grand Sheik, who has all the documentation of whatever. I'm sorry if I, put you out there and these guys start attacking you now. But comes with the territory, plus, hey, it's all good. We got this. We got this. We know that this is birthright and nationality. It's not some clubism. It's not some get down to get out. This is, you better know thyself. Because Drew Ali said know thyself. Not Harvey Bay Publications or whatever. Drew Ali said know thyself. Said it for a reason. Letter sent to Brother T. Crumby Bay of Indianapolis, Indiana. So all the Moors in Indiana, you know what I mean? You all know who Crumby Bay is. So he got put on notice. So if you're down with Crumby Bay, that line, this is for you that I do sincerely hope that you've heard before. My dear brother, I am agreeably surprised as well as glad to hear from you at this time. I wonder why. I have often wondered what had happened to you. Now, speaking of Dove L, you didn't give much understanding as to what this party was doing, or where he was operating, or who gave him his authority, if he acts on the lines of Islam. So find out what this brother is teaching, his right to do so, and who did he receive it from. Now the whole trouble is this. Then we bring out the lights, right? And the big quote unquotes, and the underline, double, triple underline, the thick marker or whatever like that, right? Going over this over and over and make sure that you're clear that what the whole trouble is. This is coming from the Supreme Grand Sheik. This is what the trouble is. With the confusion in the Moorish. Well, how come there's so much confusion in the Moorish? Why the Moors can't just unite? There's all these Moors and we could take over, but we just can't unite. When I was on my way around to visit the Prophet's temples in August 1929, Kirkman Bey was made Supreme Grand Advisor by a group of members secretly, and it was kept secret. Unbeknown to me what was on till we were ready to transact our regular business at the convention. Then they sprang this trick of making Kirkman head of the organization, which is the direct violation of the Prophet's laws and the Holy Quran according to chapter 10, verse 22. So he's giving you a reference point. Chapter 10, verse 22. We as heads of the Prophet's temples fell asleep at that point by being confused over the passing of our Prophet, which they knew you would not be expecting any surprise, and that so they thought was the time for them to put him over. But I had stated in the outset, in advance of any official work, that in view of the passing of the Prophet and the much confusion that was very rampant at that time, we wouldn't be able to do anything effective except choose a grand treasurer and a board of trustees, which the Prophet said himself we would have. Anything else, I declared, would be unofficial till the next regular meeting of Supreme Grand Council. He, Kirkman Bey, was made advisor anyway, but I knew I had been given the power by the Prophet in the first article of the Constitution to change anything that went wrong by the Holy Quran and the Constitution, which we did in the last convention, But he doesn't think so and decided against him. Yet he is still acting against the will of the holy prophet Drew Ali. But you can't expect he thinks he has perfect right to do what he is doing, because so many of the governors and grand sheiks fell after the passing of the prophet, and most of them are with him now and against the prophet. They are fighting me because I won't stand for Kurtman Bey to act as Supreme Grand Advisor of the organization. I won't stand for Kurtman Bey to act as Supreme Grand Advisor of the organization. They are doing all they can against me on his account, virtually destroying, if possible, the movement through willful, malicious disobedience. Not done. Goes in on all of them. And remember, right? Remember, this is proving to you who are the frauds today in 2014. Just go to their website, click the members or officials or whatever, and if you see Givens L or Kirkman Bay at the top, those guys are a fraud. Simple. Anybody talking Kirkman Bay or Givens L, those guys are a fraud. Simple. Why? Because it's in writing right here from the Supreme Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Emily Ill, that these guys are a fraud. Just like Drew Ali said, read the thing every meeting, and they're not reading the thing every meeting, they're a fraud. Now, some of you who are with him as against the prophet, and I say against the prophet because when you fail to recognize the man the prophet appointed and give him your cooperation and support, you have virtually turned down the prophet for someone else. Yo, he's telling people what's up, what's going down, and how to get out of it. And those I know of according to their ways and actions and works, Brother T. W. Olsey, O-L-S-E-Y, Milwaukee, Brother F. Nelson Bay of Detroit, Brother C. Charles Bay of Cleveland, Sister M. Cliff Bay of Indianapolis, Sister Dove L. in Chicago. These don't write me. When I write them, because I won't accept Kurtman Bay as in the place of Drew Ali, and I never do. Well, the time is proving all true according to the divine plans. He said, children, there won't be but a few saved, because you are not going to do what I tell you. You want your way, and your way you are going to have. But your way leads downward, children, so you better do like I tell you. If you do like I tell you, there is a chance for you. If not, there is nothing for you but death. Oh yeah, quote unquote. You know, we bring in the arrow. Right? They govern their actions by majority, which is all right if the majority is right. On the other hand, if only the one is right, that one is the majority. That's Islam. But they want to run the Moorish Science Temple of America according to the principles of Christianity or politics. And that is, you may never be ever so wrong. But if the majority is with you, you are right anyway. But so in Islam, nothing but right will do. Well, that is why they fight me. Simply because I won't accept Kurtman Bey as head of the organization. If I would do that, I will be all right with them. But Drew Ali said to me on his sickbed before he passed, you do what I tell you. Never mind what they say. I have given you law, Quran, and Constitution, and I expect you to enforce my law and do what I say. Never mind what they say or do. They can do nothing but die. So you have the law as laid down by him, Drew Ali, and you will be required to answer for yourself in that day, and to choose now who you will follow, whether it be Kirkman Bey or Noble Jew Ali, the divine prophet of our God Allah. And I am going to expect you at the next convention that you may forego things amiss, because to follow anyone now except Jew Ali, you have no part with him. I hope I have made myself and the cause clear to you, and if not, write for further information. Right? September 26, 1930. You know, all these freaking letters. And these guys are trying to say that they're some kind of authority. Watch their stuff. Watch their stuff when Emil Ill got letters out here talking about these frauds. That people back today. Strong too, like they're legitimate. Islam. Brother C. Kirkman, oh yeah. So this one's directly to C. Kirkman Bey now. This is his personal letter from the Supreme Grand Chief. Not the letter through the channels. This is his own. They're not going to bring up, oh yeah, made up a letter. Right, and then, you know, copy of the letter, right? And then you see right up there, you know, they got the seal right there on the paper. So, you know, it's sealed, right? More Science Temple of America, not the ink stuff that these guys are parading around with right now. You know, saying that's illegitimate because, you know, when he incorporated the temple, you know, and then that's how it became the ink. Well, how come it's not saying ink on this letterhead right here? You know, just some stuff, just to check out, you know, so you know who these sellouts are. Dirty bastards trying to steal your birthright or trying to get you to give it up. Either way, you know, you lose. Islam, so give him the olive branch. You know what I mean? Because, you know, just come back to the Prophet. Stop playing around. Just come back home. Are you boosting these sellouts, trying to naturalize you? Come back home. The thing was already laid out. No secrets around here. Islam, Brother C. Kirkman Bey, this is to notify you that the above named organization, More Science Temple of America, in convention September 15th to the 20th, rescinded by voting out the mistake made by the second annual convention of 1929, and in doing so, you hold your membership role as when our Prophet was here, and we hope you will still cooperate with the organization under the 5 principles. We hope further that you will comply with this notice and govern yourself accordingly, as there is but one Supreme Grand Advisor in the More Science Temple of America, that being Noble Jew Ali, and anyone else attempting to be from now on is assuming authority of himself and is liable to be to the penalties of the law. Peace. And that was that. But how come there's a bunch of Kirkman Bey today and all this type of stuff? You know what I mean? Where they come from? Where they got letters telling you that they're a fraud? And he doesn't have any authority to be doing anything, saying anything about whatever. Oh no, these letters aren't on no website or whatever. You're not gonna find these letters. You can probably get them from Supreme Grand Chief, because you know he's not holding back right now. You know what I mean? Because you know he's up there, so you're not holding back nothing. Everything's there. Everything's there. Everything is there. I might as well. Let's put this one out there. Brother and Sister Wise Bey, Islam. I was greatly pleased to hear from you all and receive the finance for I needed to help you all. I am glad to see that you all's eyes are open to the game that is about to be played on the 11th of this month. Allah is in the plain, and let not your hearts be troubled. I will be there Friday to gain all information, and my attorney will care for the situation according to law. I would like to know some good, decent place to stay, because I am not going to stop at the former address. I do not think it is safe. Notify all faithful Moors in order to save their labor of their Moorish work in Detroit, their temple. They will have to watch their enemy and hold their enemy in check. Works alone proves a man to either be good or evil. It is through my hard labor and my finance that built Detroit on a prosperous footing. And I'm sorry to find that I found unloyalty to our Moorish laws and obligations. For it layeth not in the members, but in the head, whom I have trusted and supported. I have everything to tell you all when I get there. February 9th, 28. So he's talking about all these dirty Moors all over the place, right? He's talking about notify all the faithful Moors in order to save their labor, right? He doesn't think the place is safe and all that, and he needs somewhere to stay. And his labor and finance built Detroit, and he realized that there's unloyalty and Moorish laws. So all the people, whatever, in Detroit, and to say that you're Moors have Detroit how it is right now, where a guy is going and he's buying 6,000 houses for $3 million. Think there's some joke? You will sold this man out. Try to convince you that they're legitimate. Trying to convince you that they're legitimate. (1931). It was done when I was on my trip around to the temples in 1929, and they confessed a few days ago that it was done in a private meeting, and that meeting took place on August as I visited the different temples. They kept it a secret till we met in the convention, and in the midst of our grief for our beloved prophet, they knew we wouldn't be expecting anyone to come in the convention with envy and hate. Yet they did, and railroaded their purpose through unsuspecting but not due caution, and to the effect that if there were any laws or resolutions passed that conflicted in any way with those of our prophets, they would not be considered law until the next setting of the Supreme Grand Council. And that body hasn't had a meeting yet, and any actions on his part as Supreme Grand Advisor before the meeting of the Supreme Grand Council was and is unlegal, unless he had been given that right by the convention, which body it was that made him that. Then, since the council didn't meet before our next regular national convention, which met September 15th to September 20th, 1930, it was then up to the convention to accept him or reject him. They, the convention of the Moor Science Temple of America, and empowered by the same according to the Holy Quran in verse 22, chapter 10, voted the act of the convention of 1929 non-constitutional when it made Brother C. Kirkman Bey Supreme Grand Advisor. We sent this brother word to meet us in the convention. I even told him at my home. He promised me on the day our convention met, he would be with us in the convention. He wouldn't meet us. Why? He wants to see himself voted out of, he doesn't want to see himself voted out of office. And those that didn't know the law are handed down by the great prophet, or those who wouldn't be governed by his law, he kept them away too. But the prophet had called them, and if they failed to come, we feel sorry for them. The action of the convention in 1930 was the first victory The prophet won back for them the true Moors of their appointments and elections. So let us never be guilty of that sort of thing again. Some will tell you, the people will have to say what must be done. The people have nothing to do with it. You be governed by the holy prophet Noble Drew Ali and you will be all right. So the case went to a court of justice, and the judge decided in favor of the defendant, myself, and I hold a legal written statement from the court that the case has been tried and a decision rendered by Justice Eberhardt, Eberhart, on May 7th, 1931. Many of them were there when the decision was handed down. Now they claim the judge never passed his decision. And it goes on into more stuff. So they're so dirty and they're so bitter because they're not the prophet. They're so dirty and they're so bitter and they're so full of hate because they're dirty. And they just don't want to admit that they're dirty and come back home because, ego, pride, and all this type of stuff. So they're going to just stay dirty and then tie it to the back and then send out the minions. And then the minion, the angels that are in training, they become the new head of the stuff when the old head, tired hiding and, decides to give up the fortune that they stole from the prophet. Call themselves more science time. So should be clear. You know what I mean? If you're not clear after all that, then keep messing with those dirty Moors. You know what I mean? Those, darkness rhymes Moors, the murk Moors, the gloomy Moors, right? The dark with little light Moors, who you're thinking are down with some prophet or something like that. And like somebody said in the chat, they're just coming right back to do the same dirty stuff that they did in the past because they always been against the prophet. And people who are for the prophet, like RV Bay Publications, honors to all the Moors that assist in making that a reality because that saved many lives. That saved many lives. That brought many Moors into the marvelous light. So we want to give honors to RV Bay. We back you. You already know what's up. You know what I mean? And all the active Moors out here that use that site as a reference, back you. So, know that we got this. All these dirty Moors, they're going to be doing their whatever, come into other people's meetings, try to disrupt stuff, you know what I mean? Get manhandled and stuff like that, and then want to say people did stuff to them, you know what I mean? When they're choosing to work for FBI Moors who killed the prophet and then want to get mad when you don't want to get down with what they're talking about. Because you guys are dirty. No big deal. I mean, you're chose to be dirty. So we want Moors, active, conscious, cognizant Moors, to slap these guys with law, with prophet, with letters, everything to show that they're a fraud. And let's start ousting these dirty Moors so we can get some work done out here. They're taking so much time dealing with dirty Moors and nothing could get done because dirty Moors always have their hand in stuff. Dirty Moors always have their hand in stuff that active Moors are trying to do. So they got fezzes on and think, right? So soon as you see them pop up, you already know, yeah, what's you guys' website? Oh yeah, website is bam bam bam. They say that they're Kirkman Bay or Givens L. Dirty Moors. Leave those Moors alone. Let them stew in their oil. hot oil. Let them stew. Now, so Islam to all the Moors, peace, love, and hotep. Stay true. Protect your prophet and protect your Moorish movement. Islam, peace, and hotep.